Nigeria, a land of diverse ethnicities and cultures, gained independence from British colonial rule in 1960. The air was filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future for all its citizens. Beneath the surface of this newfound freedom, however, lay deep-seated tensions that had been simmering for years. The nation was largely divided along ethnic lines, the Igbo in the southeast, the Yoruba in the southwest, and the Hausa Fulani in the north. Each group had its own distinct culture, language, and traditions. These divisions were exacerbated by economic disparities and political power struggles. The wealth and opportunities were unevenly distributed, leading to feelings of inequality and injustice. The stage was set for conflict as these underlying issues began to surface more prominently. The Igbo people, known for their entrepreneurial spirit and educational achievements, had risen to prominence in various sectors. They were seen as industrious and forward-thinking, contributing significantly to the nation's development. This success, however, bred resentment and suspicion from other groups, particularly in the north, where economic and political power remained concentrated. The northern elites felt threatened by the rising influence of the Igbo. The struggle for control of resources and political influence intensified existing ethnic tensions, pushing the nation towards the brink. The seeds of discord had been sown, and the consequences would soon unfold in a dramatic and tragic manner. In January 1966, a military coup led by mostly Igbo officers shook the nation to its core, marking a significant turning point in Nigerian history. The Prime Minister, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, a northerner, was assassinated in the chaos that ensued, along with the Premier of the northern region, Ahmadu Bello, further destabilizing the already fragile political landscape. Although the coup plotters claimed to be motivated by a desire to end corruption and promote national unity, it was widely perceived as an Igbo grab for power, causing widespread suspicion and resentment. Retaliation was swift and brutal, with the military quickly moving to suppress the perceived threat. In July 1966, a counter-coup led by northern officers resulted in the massacre of thousands of Igbo civilians living in northern Nigeria, a tragic and bloody chapter in the nation's history. The violence sent shockwaves through the nation, deepening the existing ethnic divide and creating a climate of fear and distrust that would linger for years. The events of 1966 shattered the fragile unity of the newly independent nation, paving the way for the horrors to come, including a devastating civil war that would follow shortly after. Faced with escalating violence and fearing for their safety, many Igbos fled back to their homeland in southeastern Nigeria. The leader of the eastern region, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, accused the federal government of failing to protect his people and declared the region's secession from Nigeria. On May 30th, 1967, the Republic of Biafra was born. The declaration of Biafra's independence was met with resistance from the Nigerian government, led by General Yakubu Gowon, who vowed to keep the country united by force. The creation of Biafra was not merely a political act, it was a desperate cry for survival, an attempt to create a safe haven for a people who felt persecuted and abandoned by their own nation. The Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, began in July 1967. The Nigerian government, backed by its superior military might and supported by Britain and the Soviet Union, launched an offensive to crush the secessionist state. Biafra, on the other hand, fought with determination and resilience, relying on guerrilla tactics and the ingenuity of its people. The war quickly escalated into a humanitarian catastrophe. Millions of civilians were trapped in the conflict zone, facing constant bombardment, food shortages, and the spread of disease. The world watched in horror as images of starving Biafran children, their bodies ravaged by malnutrition, filled newspapers and television screens. Section 5. International Entanglements, the Politics of Aid and Intervention. The Biafran War exposed the complexities of international relations and the limitations of humanitarian intervention. While Britain and the Soviet Union provided military support to the Nigerian government, other countries, notably France, Israel, and Portugal, supplied arms and aid to Biafra. Humanitarian organizations such as the International Committee of the Red Cross and Caritas Internationalis played a crucial role in delivering aid to the besieged region. However, their efforts were often hampered by logistical challenges, political interference, and the sheer scale of the suffering. The war became a proxy conflict, with different countries pursuing their strategic interests under the guise of humanitarian aid. Section 6. Starvation as a weapon, the brutal reality of blockades. One of the most horrific aspects of the Biafran War was the use of starvation as a weapon of war. This cruel strategy targeted the most vulnerable, turning food into a tool of destruction. The Nigerian government imposed a blockade on Biafra, cutting off its supply routes and preventing food and medicine from reaching the civilian population. This blockade was meticulously enforced, ensuring that no aid could penetrate the borders. This deliberate tactic resulted in widespread famine and the deaths of an estimated 2 million Biafran civilians, many of them children. The blockade's impact was devastating, leading to unimaginable suffering and loss of life. The images of emaciated children with swollen bellies became a symbol of the war's brutality and sparked international outrage. These haunting images brought global attention to the crisis, highlighting the severe humanitarian disaster. The use of starvation as a weapon of war is a violation of international law and a crime against humanity. International bodies condemned these actions, calling for accountability and justice for the victims. The Biafran experience serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of conflict on civilian populations. It underscores the need for global vigilance and intervention to prevent such atrocities in the future. Section 7. The fall of Biafra, a dream shattered. Despite their valiant efforts, the Biafrans were outmatched and outgunned. After 2.5 years of fighting starvation and disease, Biafra surrendered to the Nigerian government on January 15, 1970. The war was over, but its scars would remain etched in the nation's psyche for generations to come. The fall of Biafra marked the end of a chapter filled with immense suffering and loss. Millions of lives were lost, countless others were displaced, and the social fabric of the nation was torn apart. The dream of an independent Biafra lay shattered, but the spirit of resilience and the yearning for justice continued to burn brightly in the hearts of many. Section 8. Scars of War, the legacy of conflict and division. In the aftermath of the war, Nigeria faced the daunting task of rebuilding and reconciliation. The government declared a policy of no victor, no vanquished, but the reality on the ground was far more complex. The Igbo people, who had borne the brunt of the war's devastation, faced discrimination, marginalization, and economic hardship. The Biafran War left an indelible mark on Nigerian society. The conflict exacerbated ethnic tensions, deepened religious divides, and created a legacy of mistrust and suspicion that continues to affect the country today. The war also had a profound impact on Nigeria's political landscape, contributing to a culture of military coups and instability that plagued the nation for decades. Section 9. The unspoken truths confronting a painful past. For many years, the Biafran War remained a sensitive and largely unspoken topic in Nigeria. The government, keen on promoting national unity, discouraged open discussion about the conflict, fearing that it would reignite old wounds. However, silencing the past does not erase it from memory. In recent years, there has been a growing movement within Nigeria to confront the legacy of the Biafran War. Writers, artists, academics, and activists are demanding a more honest and comprehensive accounting of the conflict, including its causes, consequences, and enduring impact on Nigerian society. Section 10. Towards healing and unity. The power of remembrance and reconciliation. Remembering the Biafran War is not about dwelling in the past or assigning blame. It is about acknowledging the suffering, honoring the victims, and learning from the mistakes of the past to build a more just and equitable future for all Nigerians. True reconciliation requires more than just words, it demands concrete actions. Addressing the root causes of the conflict, such as ethnic inequality, political marginalization, and economic disparities, is crucial to achieving lasting peace and stability in Nigeria. By confronting the ghosts of the past, Nigeria can begin to heal the wounds of division and forge a future where all its citizens feel a sense of belonging and shared destiny.